Hello, and welcome to Birthing Beyond Borders, a podcast where we share the stories of migrant moms from around the world. From sleepless nights to moments of joy, we'll be diving into the real, raw, and inspiring journeys of motherhood. Get ready to laugh, learn, and experience a range of emotions while being inspired. I am your host, Adejumoke Olopade, and together we'll uncover the challenges, celebrate the wins, and honor the wisdom mothers carry across borders. Welcome to our community space. On this episode, I have with me Vivian, who is a Nigerian immigrant and a new mom to a set of beautiful baby girls. Vivian, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the Birthing Beyond Borders podcast, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Jumi. Thanks for having me on board.
You're
It's
very
nice
welcome.
to be here.
Awesome. I usually start by having my guests tell us a little bit about themselves. We know you're from Nigeria. How long have you lived in the US? What brought you to the US? How are you liking the US so far?
Okay. Um, my name is Vivian, like Jumi said, and I am a PhD student, a second year PhD student in statistics. Of course, I came to the US to study, and coming in, I didn't know. When I left my country, I had this old notion, I'm gonna study, focus on my career and all that, but I never knew that life had a different turn for me and a different plan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, that whole feeling of, you coming in and you discover that you're pregnant. Well, it wasn't unexpected because, of course, I'm married. So it wasn't unexpected, but then that happened. And, you being the only one with your spouse not being here because, of course, the whole plan was just for me to come study and then go back to my country.
Mm-hmm.
So, in short, that's just my story. I'm sure we're going to talk more about that later on.
Yeah.
And I've been here for over a year now, going on 2 years.
Okay.
And generally, my experience in the US has been amazing. You
That's
know,
good.
I've met with people, I've connected with people, the culture, the ethics, not just, Americans, like they say, America is like home for all.
Mm-hmm.
You meet with people from different culture, from different backgrounds, different countries. And it's been awesome for me, okay, because I've had to come out of my shell because I used to be this kind of person I like to be on my own, okay, a lot. But over time, being here in the US, it has helped me to
Okay.
connect more with people, to network, okay, and of course, and also to learn. I had to unlearn and to learn
Mhm.
some things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for a lot of us who come out here want to study, there's a lot of unlearning and relearning that we all have to do. And I remember, when I moved out to the US a few years ago, so many things were so new and different to me. And I just, it was like, at least for the first few months, there was so much I had to learn in terms of like just learning how to navigate the bus, learning how to navigate the app and all of those things. And so thank you so much for sharing that. Um, what's your favorite thing about living in America?
Hmm. That's my favorite thing about living in America is, I would say, the people.
Hmm,
Yeah, the
okay.
people. Because, yeah, I don't think I've met any American before now. I just usually see them on TV, basically. But
Yeah.
America is not my first, let me say, international or abroad experience. I've
Hmm.
been to, other countries before now,
Hmm.
and I can tell that there's this huge gap. As much as I also loved it there,
Hmm.
where I've traveled to, but I would say that I prefer America more because for me, the ease of communication, because these other countries I traveled to, English was not the primary language of communication.
Okay.
So it was pretty much difficult for me. So coming to America, it was just like more like me being the fact that I'm able to communicate easily, I don't have to struggle with
Mm-hmm.
any language or anything like that.
Okay.
So it's pretty much easy. And I don't know, for me, I feel, meeting with not just Americans, other people from different nationalities, having to learn. So that's why I said the people. The
Mm.
people in the sense that not just Americans, but other
Right.
people from other nationalities.
Mm-hmm.
You having to learn a lot of things about their cultures, about their food, their
Mm-hmm.
way of life, and also in the academic area of it, their knowledge you share from their wealth of knowledge, what they know.
Mm-hmm.
You tend to relate with that, as much as you also have your own, ideas and all that.
Right.
So generally, yeah, it's the people.
Awesome. That's a really good answer. And I've never thought about it in that regard, in terms of like just interacting with the people and how relatively easy it is compared to, going to another country where English is not the primary language. At this point, I want us to move to pregnancy and childbirth experience, which is, why we're here today. I want you to think back to the moment you found out you were pregnant. What was that moment like for you? Were you excited? What emotions like flooded through your mind the moment you saw those two pink lines?
Hmm, hmm. Okay, it was mixed emotions for me because before I discovered I was pregnant, my husband and I had been trying
Okay.
to get pregnant, but back in Nigeria, even not just in Nigeria, from the countries we've been before Nigeria, it didn't happen. So I just thought, you know what, I just need to focus on my career. I mean, fine, definitely, God, I know God is in control, but the babies are gonna come at their own time.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was just why I came to the US to study. And then getting here, discovered that, oh, poof, you're pregnant. I was shocked. I was happy that, yes, this is what I've been looking for all this while. And it finally happened. But I was, sad that, oh my God, I'm here all by myself. My husband is not here. I have no relative here.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to navigate this with my study and all that?
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a bit of, happiness and a bit of sadness, just mixed emotions, basically.
Yeah, so thank you so much for, sharing that experience with us. I can totally understand how, that could be a mix of emotions. You're excited that this is something you've always wanted, but then it happened in such a time where it's like, your husband is not here with you and you're far away from home. And so, I guess my next question is, how did you then prepare for the journey ahead? What made pregnancy easy, if it was easy for you, considering the situation you were in, or what made it difficult?
Yeah. So one thing I'm gonna say is I thank God for the kind of community and friends I have around. It
Okay.
made it very easy for me. The Nigerian community here
Mhm.
in Madison, oh my goodness, they made the whole journey, stress free for me. So I reached out to, people, basically Nigerians here, just to let them know that, okay, this is my situation. I
Mhm.
have no experience. What am I going to do? And, they all stood by me. I didn't even, fine, as much as people are all around you, you're still going to feel, you can't compare that to your own spouse or your
Right.
own, yeah, family, blood, and all that.
Mhm.
But other than that, they stood by me, I would say. And I didn't really have that much feeling of being alone. Like, these people will literally come to my house, like they took turns, sleep over, assist me
Wow.
with basically everything, you know run errands for me if I needed, went grocery shopping for me if I needed to, cook for me if I needed. Oh my gosh, I can't even. So all that, made the whole journey easy for me,
Mhm.
from, the pregnancy journey right until the delivery, the postpartum.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I would say. And of course, the support of my family back home, my husband, our families also, even though they were not, they're not here physically, the
Mhm.
prayers, the calls, the love, everything, it's give me the strength to,
Mhm.
to forge ahead.
Mm.
And one thing about me is no matter what situation I find myself, I don't give up easily.
Mhm.
I don't. That's just one thing about me. So having discovered the kind of situation I found myself then, I'm like, okay, it has happened. What am I gonna do? I
Right.
can't. if I cry from now till tomorrow, it's not gonna change anything.
Mm,
And as much as I can't even say that, oh, I want to go back home, it's not. I still have my career. I'm a very career-oriented lady,
mhm,
and I know strong women. I just thought that some way I could, manage motherhood and also combine that with my career. Women do it. Successful women, we've seen they handle both. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. If this woman can do it, I can do it. I
mhm,
don't have to let go of one for the other.
mm.
And that is what I'm currently doing now.
Thank you so much for sharing for sharing that. It sounds like, well, first of all, shout out to the Nigerian community here in Madison for being such great help. It sounds like that community was very instrumental in terms of just like navigating your new norm. And also just like watching other people do it kind of gave you a sense of, well, if all these women before me could do it, then I can do it as well. So and that's something that I think a lot of immigrants can relate to. It's like seeing other people before you do it and then you getting inspired or feeling like, yes, if somebody else has done it before me, then I can do that. This episode of Birthing Beyond Borders is funded by the 4W Initiative and supported by the African Center for Community Development. Please check out these two wonderful organizations. Details can be found in the description below. My next question, Vivian, would be in terms of like healthcare providers, um, how do they impact your pregnancy experience and your childbirth experience? Were there moments where you felt very supported by the healthcare professionals or the healthcare system here? And were there times where you might have felt unseen or unsupported by the healthcare system?
Okay, let me start from the, later. There was never a time I felt unseen.
Okay.
Healthcare providers were there for me all through. Even, some of them went extra length to
Mm.
come by the house to check on me.
Wow.
Yeah, which was outside what would they call it? Is it jurisdiction now?
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing as a new mom, I told them like I had no experience. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to navigate this all by myself. And they were super helpful. They knew about my situation. That, oh, I'm just all by myself, and they also were available
Mm-hmm.
to assist in any way they could. So shout out to them if they're listening. If they will be listening to this, I really, really appreciate them.
Mm-hmm.
From my OB to a team, the nurses, just basically everyone that was in charge of taking care of me pre-pregnancy, post-pregnancy, all through. Yeah, they were super amazing and supportive.
That's good. That's what we love to hear. Now I want us to transition to postpartum recovery. Um, can you take us back to the moments where you held your babies? What did that feel like?
The feeling was surreal because something you've been longing for all this while.
Mm-hmm.
I love babies. Okay, I love babies, and I have an older sis. She gave birth. She has two babies, so I was kind of instrumental to taking care of her babies as well.
Mm.
So I kind of, and each time I do that, in my mind I'll be like, God, I can't wait to also carry my own babies in my arms and all. So I've always loved babies, and when I finally held my babies in my arms, I think I should even mention the fact that when I discovered I was pregnant, I didn't know I was having twins. I mean, I never would have thought that I would give birth to twins because, like, there was, I don't know if that is. I mean, I have no history of twins in my family. Also, my husband, so we were not expecting twins. So when I discovered I was pregnant, I thought, okay, one baby. And then I went for my first ultrasound. The I was told that oh, they can see two babies in there. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Two babies from where? How? And that was it. I told no, I broke the news to my husband, was shocked, even our families, everyone they were basically shocked because no one thought I would have twins. So and then when I gave birth, I saw my babies, I held them. I was just crying, honestly. Let me just put it that way. That was just I don't know. For some reason, I just couldn't stop crying. I just couldn't stop crying. The nurses, the doctors were like, "Oh, it's fine, you're good," blah, 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 and all that. Well, the reason for the tears, I can't tell.
Mm,
Tears of joy, I don't know. Tears of, oh, how are you gonna do this all by yourself?
mm,
Maybe.
mm,
Well, I was just crying. But then, and seeing them alone, I knew that yes, even though we are all by ourselves here in America, I know that we are not alone. That's just one thing I was telling my babies. I know they couldn't hear me, but I
right.
was just saying that. I know we are not alone. God
Mm.
is gonna see us through this.
Yeah, so it sounds like it was a mix of excitement and also like a little bit of worry in terms of like how are you going to do this by yourself with the babies. And so, I've heard you say that you didn't have like your husband and you didn't have like other members of your family here. What was that like? How did you manage? I heard you say initially about the Nigerian community. But was that during pregnancy or was that also during postpartum? And like what was it just like, postpartum without your husband, without your family? How did you navigate, the few months after delivery?
Mm. Yeah, thank you. I mean, as much as I had the massive support from the Nigerian community, um, also, yeah, my department as well. They were also super supportive because they gave me some time off, definitely. Even before, during pregnancy, yeah, I had some days that maybe I wasn't feeling too good to go to school. My department, they were really supportive in that area. Yeah, so coming back to how I've been able to manage, yeah, has it been tough? Yes, I wouldn't say it has not been tough because trust me, no matter how, um, as much as, yeah, people are there to support you, these people also have their own lives,
Mm.
right?
Right.
All of them are students, some are working. So they weren't always there 247. So I had to, figure out a lot of things on my own, taking care of the babies. I had to navigate a lot of things on my own
Mm-hmm.
while, healing. I mean, it's postpartum. Mhm. But one thing I told myself is I'm not going to give in to postpartum depression. No way. No way.
Mm.
A lot of people would always stop by. Oh, how are you feeling? Hope you're not depressed. PPD is real, this and that. I'm like, no, I'm not going to give in to that. No way. I
Mm.
know that period was really tough for me. Okay. It was really tough. I didn't heal as fast as I was supposed to because, of course, I was dealing with a lot of things on my own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, hmm
Yeah.
but all the same, I thank God. I mean, I give all glory to God because here we are now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if I remember, that period, all I can just, say is because then I remember sometimes I was just, keep telling God that God, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'm trusting you to help me navigate through this. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just one thing about me. I don't give in easily to stress or worry over nothing. Instead, I would rather channel my energy into praying, because that's where I draw my strength from.
Mm.
So on days that I would, really feel down, I'm human, of course. I wouldn't say I don't feel down, feel really sad on some days. I mean, during that period. But what I would do is I'll pray to God, I would listen to sermons, motivational talks. It stirs up my energy, it builds my faith, it gives me strength. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, my Bible. I read my word, I read
Mm-hmm.
my Bible all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Those words are there. I channel my worry, I channel all my struggles, my stress. I channel all that into the word of God. And what do I get in return? Strength, hope, faith. So that's how I've been able to navigate. I mean, I was able to navigate the postpartum period.
Mm.
Yeah, with the help of the community, friends, and also God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've touched on two things that, were on the list of my next questions. And so it's very clear that you're a woman of faith. And so I wanted to, and I also heard you say that you made up your mind you were not going to fall into postpartum depression. Like, what did you do to protect yourself, or what are the things that served as protective factor against postpartum depression for you? Because it sounds like, there was a lot of like, oh, I am determined that this is not going to happen to me. So, like, were there things that you did, were there resources that you used to help you prevent yourself from falling into depression? Question number one. And question number two, how would you say, and it feels like you've talked about this a little bit, but how would you describe the role that religion or your faith, how would you say that helped you um during this period for you?
For the postpartum depression, what helped me fight, even though I already made up my mind that I was not going to fall into postpartum depression, one thing I held on to, I mean, that helped me was constant communication with my husband. I
Okay.
mean, this is someone I love dearly, who also loves me dearly, and is also my best friend.
Oh.
So we talk about everything and anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I ensure that we're always communicating. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he was also, he knows. So basically, I mean, as much as he wasn't here physically, he also ensured that he was always there for me whenever I needed. So his words, of encouragement, support, even though it was a virtual support,
Right.
prayers as well, all of that helped me. And I also, another thing about me is I'm a lover of, of music. I love listening to music,
Okay.
gospel musics, basically. At times I could go to contemporary, depends. So that was one thing I also ensure. That was one thing I did too. I listened to music a lot, a lot. I could be feeding the babies. I'm listening to music. I could be basically just doing anything. Music is on.
Mm-hmm.
So like, because I kind of shielded my mind off the fact that, oh, depression is real. So I already built that barrier,
Mm-hmm.
against that. So now doing every other thing to ensure that there's no kind of anything that might want to break that barrier, maybe anything that could probably leave a hole into that barrier I already built.
Mm-hmm.
So that these are some of the steps I took. Yeah. So another thing I did was what else? What else? Whenever I could, I rested. Whenever I could. Whenever people came by, oh my God, I'm going off to bed to sleep. Yes. I will go off to sleep. And they would even tell me, oh no, 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 yeah, go and sleep, go and sleep, go and sleep. Please, please, don't do anything. Don't do anything. So that was another thing. I rested. Well, did I rest as much as I would love to? Probably not. But
Right.
every little time I got to rest, I actually made good use of that. I
Mm-hmm.
rested. And my mental health, mentally, hmm. See, one thing about nurturing your mental health is you just one thing I've always known is, whatever it is you feed yourself, it could be, you could dwell on that and that could reflect outwardly to what people will say. So
Mm-hmm.
I ensure that I don't feed myself, off of any negative thing. Oh, people saying this and that. Oh, some women know after giving birth, this. No, 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 no. I don't even want to hear talks like that. I don't even want to really listen to things like that. So I don't feed myself any negative thing, anything that could, affect me mentally.
Right.
I'm always for the positive. Yes, yes. And another thing is, yeah, I remember now. Another thing I dwelled on during that period was, words of affirmation.
Okay.
Yeah, words of affirmation. Yes, I can do this. Yes, God is me. God is with me. Yes, I have the strength. Yes, I'm not gonna fall into the postpartum depression. You know, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Have I answered your question? I feel
Yeah.
like
No, no,
okay.
that was really good. And you touched on a lot
Mhm,
of very important things.
mhm,
Yeah, I really liked how the words of affirmation bit of it. Uh, I think as new moms, I think it's very important to one,
mhm,
reaffirm yourself. Um,
mhm,
and hey, it's great if people around you do it, but in addition to
mhm,
that as well, I think that just personal conversations with yourself where you're reminding yourself that you have the strength to do. And I know, for some people it comes a lot easier than for others, but I think that that's a practice that, we all can strive to be better at. So thank you so much for calling that out.
yeah,
Um, I want to talk a little bit about the systems, so systems in terms of like doulas or community organizations or faith spaces, or other resources that you found helpful during this period. So I guess in terms of like formal or informal, you talked a little bit about the Nigerian community.
mhm.
I was also wondering, did you have any doulas? Were there community organizations that stepped in and, played any role during pregnancy or after pregnancy? A lot of African immigrants are members of different faith spaces. And so did those community spaces or other resources, did they play a role in helping you navigate this period? And if some of them did, how did you find out about these resources or these community spaces?
Yeah. So I had a doula.
Okay.
Yeah. And having a doula, yeah, I forgot to mention that having a doula was also one of the resource I got that made this whole pregnancy thing easy for me because my doula wasn't just a doula, she was a friend.
Okay.
Yeah, she stood in the gap. I mean, before pregnancy, yes, she was there, but during delivery, she was there with me in the delivery room.
Okay.
I mean, she was on call with my husband because my husband was super worried. She
Mm-hmm.
was on call with him, video call showing him everything, how everything was going. So she was a friend. She was super supportive and amazing. I'm happy that I mean, I didn't even know anything about it that a doula existed before I mean, when I got here,
Mm-hmm.
it was just people that told me that, oh, you need a doula and all that, and I was not concerned. How am I gonna? Because I heard a lot of things that people said a lot of things. Oh, some doulas are not good, some are good, this and that. You might not really get a good one. And then, of course, I pray to God that God, I need a doula, yes, but I don't know how I can't I don't know who I'm going to talk to. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to get a good person, but please just direct me and help me get a good one. And I was also connected to this resource center. We call it the Women's Care Center. Yeah, it's like a community of women,
Okay.
both those that are currently pregnant and those who have given birth. So we all come together till now. I mean, I'm still part of them, so that's why I'm using the present tense. We come together, talk about, share experiences, we learn. Those
Mm.
that have given birth, that have had experience, they share. Those who are currently pregnant, they share their experiences. It's more like, you having that kind of, how would I put it now? I would also community. Let me say family. Yeah, we're like a family.
Mm.
Okay, you're free to voice out. You're free to talk about whatever it is you're not clear about, and learning from other people's experiences. There's a way it shapes you to perhaps
Absolutely.
make your own decisions, or perhaps strengthen you, pick whatever it is you want to pick from their experiences. Those you don't that you feel are not relevant to you, you drop them,
Mhm.
those kind of thing. So it was through the Women's Care Center I was introduced to the doula services. They call them the Arambi doula services.
Okay, I've heard of
So
that.
exactly, yeah, it was the WCC director who recommended them. They said that they're very good, and yeah, that was how I got connected to them. And
Okay.
of course, I really thank God I did. And yeah, I didn't mention my church too. Yes, my church. They have been super supportive as well. Yeah, they have been super supportive. Before, during pregnancy, postpartum, they have been super supportive. Yeah.
Good.
So I just thank God for the blessings of the people I have around me.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if not, it would have been really difficult to figure out all this by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting that you said you had a doula. You're the first mom I've spoken with who actually used a doula. A lot of the other moms will say things like, "Oh, we heard about them, but we just didn't think that we needed one." And as somebody who's interacted with a few doulas, I really do think that it's important. If it's something that you can get access to, I really do think that women should make use of that opportunity and take it up. So thank you for sharing your experience using one.
And I wouldn't blame them. Perhaps they have their spouses around, so they'd be like, "No,
Right,
what do we do for?" The
right.
fact is, if my spouse was around, maybe I wouldn't have.
That's an interesting point because yeah, I
Yeah.
was thinking about that as well. Because for a
Mhm.
lot of them, they had their husbands here with them while they
Exactly.
were having the baby. So I
Mhm.
think that could make the difference. Having your partner here with you,
Yeah.
yeah, you might not need one as much.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point to
For me, I needed all the support I could get, so I need mine.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Um, were there other resources or were there any resources or services that you wish you had known about or you wish you had access to during the perinatal experience?
Then now, none is coming to my mind now. I don't know.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that's absolutely okay. Um, and so I'm gonna move to our last section of this podcast. You've been such a great guest so far. Thank you so much for just being vulnerable and being open and sharing your experiences. I want you to kind of do a bit of a reflection. Is there anything you'd have done differently during the entire perinatal journey?
Don't know if I will have traveled with my husband.
That's a good point.
That is what I would have done differently if I knew I was pregnant from home. From my
Mhm.
country, I would have dragged my husband with me.
Right, right. Yeah, I can definitely, see how that's definitely number one on your list. Yep.
Number one. About other things, let me see. What the hell? I don't know. Honestly, I can't really think of anything right now. I just feel perhaps everything happened the way God has
Mm.
ordained them to go.
Right, right. Okay. Okay, so we're getting to the last set of questions. For new African immigrant mothers who are either currently pregnant or, just gave birth to a baby or are planning to have a baby here in the US, what advice would you give to them?
I would say that they should know that they are not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they should reach out when if they can. Not even if they can, I would advise they reach out to people because fine, we're Africans. In Africa is when they will say that, oh, you're pregnant, don't tell anybody, blah
Mm-hmm.
blah blah. Now.
Yeah.
But here in the US, it's not like that. If you keep quiet, you're on your own.
Mm,
From, fine, you might say that perhaps your spouse is with you, you have the help you can get, but there are resources available that, if you don't talk to people, you
mm,
might not know, you might miss out on opportunities because nobody will come to your doorstep and knock on your door and tell you that, oh, there's this thing available. No,
mhm,
it is, if you reach out to people, you talk to them, then they could see, oh, this person needs help in this area. You never know. They
mhm,
might have a resource, center or perhaps some information that could help fill in that gap. So I would advise new moms or, those who are currently pregnant Africans to always, to know that firstly, they're not alone and they should always talk, reach out to people whenever they feel like, oh, I need help in this area.
mhm.
Yes, they'll be fine.
Okay, okay, that's a really good advice. And I think, like you said, for a lot of us, there's this hush hush culture around pregnancy. And for very valid reasons, if we're being honest. But at the same time, here in the US, like you said, there's like so many resources that you could benefit from. And if you don't speak up or talk to somebody who can refer you or tell you about their experience, you miss out on a lot of things. So thank you so much for calling that out. My very last question to you, Vivian, is for healthcare providers or organizations that provide services to African immigrant mothers, what would be your advice to them as well in terms of like providing good service to African immigrant mothers?
Hmm. Yeah, I think another thing is, yeah, maybe I don't think I mentioned it. I feel like within the healthcare sector, because majority of them are not, of course, they're not Africans. At
Mm-hmm.
times, it can be really difficult when you tell them perhaps how you're feeling and all. They don't tend to relate with you.
Mm,
As Africans, they are, I mean, people of color, like the colors. There are some things that in pregnancy you might be having some kind of feeling, or perhaps it could be as a result of your culture. You might want to, talk to your doctor about some things that, oh, regarding in my culture, this is what we do, this is what we don't do
mm-hmm.
during pregnancy. Perhaps there's some medications that your doctor might, prescribe, but as a result of your culture or wherever you're coming from, you're
Mm-hmm.
not allowed to take them. It's
Mm-hmm.
not my experience though. It's just another person I discussed with, and she
Right.
had the experience. Yeah. So, but the doctor didn't really, understand all that. As far as the doctor was concerned, I get it. I mean, the doctor definitely, all she cared about was the welfare and of the baby and the mom. So she couldn't really relate with, okay, perhaps Africans, this is their own culture, this is their own way of life, this is what they do,
Mm-hmm.
pregnant person. So I don't know. I feel if there could be uh like a meeting point, fine. As much as healthcare is concerned, the major goal is, we don't want to record any mortality and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we should also respect people's point of view, people's cultural.
Yep.
What did she even call it? I remember there was a particular word she used, but it's fine. So basically, my point is, healthcare providers should also listen. They
Mm-hmm.
should listen to Africans more. Even if you don't understand whatever it is they're discussing with you when it comes to their culture and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just find that meeting point that's like both of you reaching a consensus that, okay, the major goal is I want your baby to be fine. I want you to be fine. So this is why we can't do this. This is why you have to do this.
That's a really good point that you've raised, Vivian, and thank you for calling that out. And I 100% agree with you. I think as healthcare providers, their ultimate goal is to protect and make sure that mom and baby or babies are doing okay. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I think it's important to also consider people's cultural preferences and just hear them out. And like you said, just listen, and just listen with an open mind. Um, so yes, again, thank you so much, Vivian, for joining me on this podcast today. And thank you so much for sharing your experience. I've really enjoyed our conversation. And I hope that, new moms, existing moms, healthcare providers who are listening to this have learned a thing or two. So once again, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm glad I was able to share my experiences.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Birthing Beyond Borders. I hope you've learned something new or felt seen in today's conversation. If you're a mom listening today, know that you're doing an incredible job, and as a community, we are so proud of you. Please share this episode with another mom or with a friend who might find it helpful. Remember, you are not alone and you don't need permission to do the things that bring you joy. I'm rooting for you. Goodbye.